Guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, it is May 8th, Wednesday, but only for another 9 minutes. So by the time I get finished with this and get it uploaded, it will be tomorrow's date. So let's jump right into the Q-related news because we have got a lot of really interesting things in this particular video. So at least I think it's interesting. I think you will as well. So, and I really have to quit when I'm doing two videos and I get up and just, walk around and stretch and have a drink but I always like have a snack or something. And then I'm like afraid that everybody's seeing what I ate in my teeth. Peanuts, by the way, that's what I ate. Peanuts in the shell. Best way to eat peanuts. All right. Okay, let's get right into it. Now, this is from Summit News, which is Paul Joseph Watson's website, sorry. And it says Instagram to fact check and remove memes. So now we've got Instagram getting in on the action, the censorship action, if you can call it that. Instagram has announced it will begin fact checking and removing memes. The social media giant, which is owned by Facebook, will use its 52 global fact checking partners to censor false photos and memes on its platform. According to Pointer, Instagram is taking those fact checks and applying them to the same false photos and memes on its platform. According to the report, memes deemed factually incorrect will no longer appear under tabs where they can be discovered by random users. The Pointer Institute, which partners with Facebook, recently had to shut down its own database, highlighting unreliable news sites after discovering inconsistencies between sources used to build the database and its final report. So you can trust them. Quite why memes have to be fact-checked, given that they are almost always satirical and are not intended to be statements of fact, may be a mystery to some, like me perhaps, and perhaps you. It's actually not a mystery at all. Studies have repeatedly shown that the political right is far better at spreading memes, and we know that to be true. The left just can't meme. They can't. Have you ever seen the left's memes? Well, I rest my case. So, yeah, they really can't meme. It's like white men can't dance. Yeah, well, the left can't meme. It's a fact everybody knows. A study undertaken by researchers at University College London found that most effective memes largely originated in two places. The subreddit r/TheDonald, a forum devoted to boosting President Donald Trump, and 4chan's politically incorrect political forum. A Vice write-up of the study acknowledges that the most effectively spread memes originated on r/Reddit, TheDonald, and politically incorrect channel on 4chan and 8chan. Last year, Facebook announced the deployment of a large-scale machine learning system called Rosetta, which it's using to automatically and proactively identify inappropriate or harmful content in images on the social network, reported Fox News. In other words, Facebook developed an AI that can tell if a meme is offensive. It's a scientific fact that the left can't meme, so far easier just to ban the memes. Yeah, if you can't beat them, then beat them. Yeah, if you can't beat them, just outlaw what they're doing, I guess. I don't know. It's late. Don't expect me to be pithy and I don't know. I can't even come up with a word. And I'm a logophile, not to be mistaken by any other kind of files. Logophile, somebody that loves words. All right, you knew that. Okay, now I think I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to get to this first because this is really critical and it is extremely, important for us Q people that are following Q, because Q mentioned this. Remember that picture of the beach? And we all were, sorry, I'm moving that around and it's probably really annoying. And I'm not meaning to be annoying. It just happens sometimes. Anyway, Trump administration forces China to sell the port of Long Beach. Now, it wasn't that long ago when we saw a picture of Long Beach, and we were all kind of wondering what Q was alluding to there. And remember, I said future proves past, because a lot of times when there's a picture with no explanation and we're all guessing and whatever, it takes something to come up in the news later to say, ah. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only meaning, but I think it's a big part of it. All right. So they force China to sell the port of Long Beach. Now, how they did that, I don't know. The Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security has forced China's state-owned Costco to sell the port of Long Beach over security concerns. China's Costco Shipping Holdings, which bought out its 75% owned Hong Kong-based Orient Overseas International, was forced to sell its Port of Long Beach container terminal ownership to McGuire Infrastructure Partners for $1.78 billion. And this, of course, is the picture of Long Beach, and I don't know, I would assume this is the terminal. It sure looks like one. It looks like there's a lot of containers there. And the Obama administration had no problem with OOCL signing a 40-year lease with the city of Long Beach in 2012 for control of America's second largest and most automated container handling operation. No, well, why would Obama have a problem with that? Yeah, he was part of the problem. So, anyway, the Sweetheart deal was part of the Middle Harbor redevelopment program to fund a $1.5 billion expansion through 2020. But one of the first major actions of the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security in March 2017 was issuing a Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. national security hold on Costco's acquisition of a former U.S. Navy port facility. Yeah, go Trump. China operates 6 of the world's 10 busiest container ports. The Chinese government has also funded the construction and operations of 43 ports in 35 countries under its One Belt and One Road initiative launched 5 years ago, according to China's Ministry of Transport. And China operates 6 of the world's 10 busiest container ports. The Chinese government has also funded the construction and operation of 43 ports in 35 countries. Did I just read this? I think I did. As part of its other efforts to gain asset dominance, China has directed its state-owned companies to exclusively buy products and services from other Chinese state-owned enterprises. As a result, China International Marine Containers Group has become the world's largest maker of shipping containers, and Shanghai Zhenhua Heavy Industries has gained a 70% international market share for port cranes and now exports to 300 ports in 100 countries. Under the McGuire acquisition terms, Orient Overseas International will pocket a $1.29 billion profit and still control vessel and rail traffic at the container facilities for the next 20 years. Correction, an earlier version of this piece misspelled the state-owned Costco name. So, now, this is interesting because was it not Q, or now I'm having a hard time remembering whether it was Q or whether it was another anon that brought up the fact that so much human trafficking transpires through this port. So, this is very interesting indeed, if you ask me. Very interesting development. And it's from American Thinker, so I'm thinking that it's probably the truth, I would think. But you'd wonder why this isn't all over the news, wouldn't you? Well, you'd wonder. I mean, it's pretty big news. Maybe that's why it's not all over the news. And I don't think that there's probably some people that are probably not happy because it's dipping into their supply, if you know what I mean. Right. I think you all know what I mean. Okay. That's what I like about you guys. You're so quick. You're just so quick. I like me some smart people now. I do. All right. Okay. Now let's look at this. This is another little juicy tidbit. Absolutely. This is from the Conservative Treehouse. The Last Refuge, new filing, FBI fights to keep Comey memos secret. Wonder why they'd want to do that. I don't know. Can you think of any reasons? This is frustrating but not surprising. In the updated DOJ court filing today, the DOJ tells the court they want to keep the Comey Journal memos hidden from public view. Hat tip techno fog, the release of Mueller's report does not alter the FBI's position with regard to the remaining redactions in the Comey memo. Memos, plural. And this, in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, Cable News Network is the plaintiff against the Federal Bureau of Investigation, says notice in response to the court's minute order of April 18th, 2019. In response to the court's minute order of April 18th, 2019, the Federal Bureau of Investigation states the following. Well, what does it state? We're about to find out, aren't we? Hang on here. First day with the new hands, apparently. And I have to take a drink because I have peanut shells in my teeth and they feel like fuzzy little sweaters on my teeth. Fuzzy little cashmere sweaters. They do. All right. The release of the report on the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election by the special counsel report does not alter the FBI's position with regard to the remaining redactions in the Comey memos. Those portions remain classified and continue to be withheld for the reasons set forth in the FBI's summary judgment motion, ECF number 69, as modified with regards to redaction block 19 by the notice filed by the FBI on April 8, 2019, ECF number 79. Number 2, the release of the report also does not alter the FBI's position with regard to the remaining redactions in the first Archie declaration as presented in the version of that declaration filed April 15th, 2019, Exhibit A to 6 Hardy D-Class ECF number 81-1, as indicated by the 6 Hardy declaration, those redactions are necessary regardless of the conclusion of the special counsel's office's investigation to protect FBI law enforcement interests. Oh, I bet. Yeah, they need to protect the FBI law enforcement interests. All right, case 117, document 84. Let's look and see what this is. The FBI, number 3, the FBI has reviewed the transcript of the sealed ex parte proceeding that occurred in the case on January 22nd, 2018. That's my mother's birthday, except she wasn't born in 2018 because then it would have been very difficult for her to give birth to me. Anyway, and determined that it has no objection to release of this transcript in full by the court. The transcript is not classified. What all that means, I really don't know, except that they are fighting to keep those redactions, and we know why. The DOJ has authorized the release of the January 22nd, 2018 transcript from the ex parte hearing, so we will get to see the original discussion, which should include the FBI descriptions of the Comey Journal and their, oh my gosh, my kitten, Sammy, has just jumped on top of my china cabinet where all sorts of really fragile things are sitting. It's okay. I'm not going to interrupt this for a kitty intervention because, well, it's not fair to anyone. And Sammy looks quite content up there. Hopefully he's not mad. He's not gonna, you know how cats, they're jerks. They knock things off the edges. That's how I know that the earth isn't flat, because cats would have knocked everything off the edge. That's true. All right, so let's get back to this because I know, I'm feeling chatty because it's getting late. The DOJ has authorized the release of the January 22nd, 2018 transcript from the ex parte hearing, so we will get to see the original discussion, which should include the FBI descriptions of the Comey Journal and their reasoning to the judge for keeping the collection of memos hidden. Keep in mind, D.C. Court Judge James E. Boasberg is also a FISA judge. As pointed out by Technofog, the media will get the transcript release first. However, we will work earnestly to deliver it as soon as possible after release. So I don't know. They are fighting to keep those redactions in there. The documents surface as part of a Freedom of Information case where D.C. Court Judge James E. Boasberg, an Obama appointee and also a FISA judge, asked the FBI to file an opinion about the release of Comey memos to the public. There were two original issues. One, can the memos be released? And two, can prior sealed FBI filings arguing to keep the memos hidden be released? Below is the original declaration outlining to the court on October 13th, 2017, why the Comey memos must be sealed. It is inside this exhibit where we discover there are many more memos than previously understood, and the content of those memos is far more exhaustive because James Comey documented the FBI investigation. Oh, I want to see those. I really, really do. In essence, Comey created these memos to cover his ass. Well, you know. 5. The FBI and the Special Counsel Office have determined the disclosure of Comey memos, or any portions of them, could reasonably be expected to adversely affect the pending Russia investigation. Former FBI Director James B. Comey is a witness in the pending investigation. And what a reliable witness he is. The Comey memos are his contemporaneous notes about incidents that are of interest in that investigation, i.e., the records sought here, and are considered witness statements and therefore evidence in the Russia investigation. Yeah, again, I say, FBI agent Archie, yeah, that's the name, Agent Archie, then goes on to explain what is inside the memos. It is in this section where we discover that Comey made notes of his meetings and conversations with investigators. Along with writing notes of the meeting and conversations, apparently Comey also made notes of the sources and methods associated with the investigation. Why would Comey generate classified information in these notes, sources, and methods unless he was just covering his ass because he knew the investigation itself was a risk? The content of those memos seems rather exhaustive. It appears Comey is keeping a diary for use in the event this operation went sideways. And sideways it did go. Yes. Of any potential efforts to impede or compromise the Russia investigation. For example, the memos discuss sensitive details regarding the progress of the pending Russia investigation as the dates of the meeting or conversations memorialized in them. Specifically, additional witnesses are identified and a confidential human source is identified by both true and codename, as well as evidence obtained therefrom and investigative steps taken or not yet taken in an investigation as of the dates of the meeting memorialized in the memos are revealed. The memos also identify at least one investigative target and reflect aspects of the investigation as of those dates. In short, the memos include highly sensitive information from the pending investigation. Yeah, well, right. None of this information was the subject of former Director Comey's testimony. Former Director Comey did not reveal the identity of the witness or confidential source, describe the information provided by the source or the FBI's investigative interest in it, or otherwise explicitly describe the pending investigation. Disclosure of any of this non-public information would cause the harms discussed above. All of those investigative elements would likely be contained in official FBI files and notes by the investigative agents. There is no need for a contemporaneous personal account of meeting content unless Comey was constructing memos for his own protection, which of course he was doing. These memos appear to be motivated by the same mindset that caused Susan Rice to generate her email to self on Inauguration Day. In the next section, FBI agent David Archie explains the scale of the memos. They are obviously far more than previously discussed or disclosed publicly. Additionally, look carefully at the way the second part is worded. Now, this is extremely long, and I'm not going to go through all this, but Archie is saying Comey's written recollection should be withheld because it might affect the testimony of people familiar with the memorialized conversations. This is just so ludicrous. And, you know, I really can't, well, actually, it's not that long. I guess it's the comments that are making it so long. I just all of a sudden thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here till next year reading all this. But it is really fascinating, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. In the section, it says the next section gets to the heart of why the FBI wants to keep the Comey memos hidden and not released. Okay, in this section, Archie outlines how FBI Director James Comey wrote down who the sources were, what code names were assigned, how those confidential sources engaged with FISA coverage initiated by the FBI, what foreign governments were assisting with their effort, and what the plans were for the investigation. Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to see those? Yes, it would. I'm hoping we get to. The United States, more particularly, the memos contain classified discussions concerning, and it says the code name and true identity of a confidential source, as well as the details of foreign intelligence information obtained from and through his source by the FBI, information about whether the FBI initiated coverage through the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, on a particular individual, the sources and methods used in the investigation, and information concerning the president's foreign policy decision-making. This information is currently and properly classified. The memos also identify specific foreign governments and officials. Yeah, I think we want to see that. Don't you? And reflect particular non-public interactions between them and the United States government, the public disclosure of which could reasonably be expected to affect the United States' relationship with those countries. Oh, you think? You think? Yeah, having a country spy on the duly elected president of, the United States of America, yeah, that might kind of, put a little kink in the relationships. Ow. In addition, the revelation of the confidential source's name would identify the confidential source's whatever, because it's redacted. Again, why memorialize all of this classified information unless the memos were intended as CYA, cover your ass, protection for himself? Well, that's exactly what they were. There's also really good news here. Think about it. Now we know the entire anti-Trump operation is memorialized in writing. There is documentary evidence of the entire operation from the perspective of James Comey within these memos. We did not know that before this moment. Therefore, it looks like President Trump can add the Comey memos to the pre-existing declassification list. At any time, President Trump now has an additional set of documents he knows to exist that his office can ask to be released. If the FBI was running an honest and genuine investigation, what do they have to fear from the release of the Comey memos now that the investigation is over? Well, what do they have to fear? Well, nothing if they conducted themselves above board, but of course we know they did not, especially Comey. So yeah, this is big, it's colossal big. It's stupendously big. It's bigger than big. It's ginormous. It's so big it has its own zip code. Yeah, that's big. All right. All righty. Let's go back here because there's plenty more where that came from. And look at this. Here's a little piece of good news too. If you thought that was good news, wait till you hear this. Well, look at this. Well, looky here. Just in, Ilhan Omar is now officially under investigation. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. You can thank me later. Because you're not going to hear that from the mainstream media, are you? No, of course not. Do you think that they want you to know? Of course not. Well, now we all know. It has been reported by Fox News. Well, Fox News reported on it. Well, there you go. So, mainstream media, at least Fox News is doing their job. It has been reported by Fox News that Democratic United States Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota will soon learn the conclusions of an investigation into allegations that she violated campaign spending laws during her time as state lawmaker, including accusations that she used campaign money to pay for her divorce attorney and personal travel. The culmination of the state probe is just the latest potential controversy for Omar, an embattled freshman in Congress who has repeatedly faced criticism for comments about Israel and U.S. foreign policy. In the state case, Minnesota State Representative Steve Drazkowski, a Republican, alleged that Omar spent around $6,000 in campaign money on her divorce attorney and travels to Estonia and Boston, Sinclair reported. Who did she get a divorce from? Her brother? The Minnesota Campaign Finance Board was alerted after Omar, who was a state representative between 2017 and 2019, had to repay $2,500 that she accepted for speeches in higher education institutions funded by the government. The repayment stems from another complaint filed by Drazkowski. The ruling on that investigation is expected within the next month. Oh, it's a busy, busy month. It's a good month. 37-year-old Omar, who immigrated to the United States with her family from Somalia in 1995, denied the allegations when they first came to fruition. Omar claimed that the payment she had made to attorney Carl Kjelberg, who was representing her in her divorce from her husband, was merely a compensation for providing crisis management service during her run for the Minnesota State House, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune reported, according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. The Democratic representative has been the center of headlines since she joined the United States House of Representatives in January of this year. Omar became a household name after a 2012 tweet she sent out was unearthed. It read, "Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel." Yeah, sounds like a person that we want in Congress. Yeah. According to Fox, Omar then caused a bipartisan uproar in February after she falsely suggested Jewish politicians in the U.S. were bought by AIPAC, a nonpartisan organization that seeks to foster the relationship between the U.S. and Israel. Fox explained that the Democratic representative then reignited the controversy, saying groups supportive of Israel were pushing members of Congress to have allegiance to a foreign company, echoing an anti-Semitic trope of dual loyalty. Yeah, well, you know what would happen if somebody in Congress said anything about her particular ideology. Yeah, you know what would happen. All right, and I don't know, I should have clipped this out, but let me see if I can. See if I can find this for a second, because there is a what do you call that? Oh, a you know, when they take your picture when you've committed a crime. What is that? Oh man, I know it's late when I can't remember stupid stuff like that. It's out of my mind. Ilhan Omar, crime, because there was images, and I wish that there was an arrest. And I'm not finding it right now, but I am going to try to find it because it's her, what do you call that? Her, I hate that. And now I'm going to get like 200 answers giving me the right answer. And every time I read it, I'm going to go, yep. Yep. Oh, here it is. There it is. There it is. Ilhan Omar, arrested in 2013 for trespassing, booked at Hennepin County Jail. So this is her picture. And this is the, State Representative Ilhan Omar was arrested in 2013 for trespassing and booked at Hennepin County Jail to prevent further criminal conduct, according to a newly uncovered police report. The incident took place on January 18th, 2013, following an event at the Minneapolis Convention Center featuring former Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. The Somali president was set to stay the night at the Hotel Ivy, causing large groups of Somalis to follow the presidential convoy to the hotel, including Omar. According to the police report, hotel staff requested police assistance in clearing the lobby, saying that anyone without a hotel room key was not welcome on the premises and needed to leave immediately. The officer handling the incident said the majority of people who were asked to leave were compliant. However, Omar, when approached, was argumentative and refused to leave. Boy, I have a hard time believing that. Do you? As she stood her ground and refused to leave, I took hold of her left elbow to escort her from the lobby. Omar then pulled away from me, stating, "Don't put your hands on me." Others in her group complied and began walking towards the front entry exit door as I ordered, and I managed to coax Omar out with them. The police report reads, 10 minutes after the original encounter, the officer reports finding Omar seated in a different area of the lobby. According to the officer's account, Omar remained defiant as he informed her that she would be arrested for trespassing if she didn't leave. Since she refused to comply with orders, the officer arrested Omar. The officer reached for Omar's left arm to get her to stand so she could be handcuffed, but she pulled away. The officer handcuffed her while she stayed seated in the hotel lobby chair. Omar was booked at Hennepin County Jail, as I felt it was likely that she would fail to respond to a citation, and she also demonstrated that she was going to continue her criminal behavior, the officer wrote. So there is a police report out there and so forth. So their mugshot just entered my my little tired brain. Mugshot, yes, that is her mugshot. And why isn't she wearing her hijab? Or maybe maybe they requested that she take it off for her mugshot. I don't know, but she complied, obviously, with that request because she is not wearing her hijab, and apparently she does have hair. So there you go. All right. I mean, we knew she had hair. I was just being ridiculous. All right. Now, let's go back and see what else we can get into. Because we can. Now, and this, if you didn't see this, I'm sure everybody saw this. Ocasio-Cortez posts about garbage disposal in posh new apartment. Okay, everyone, I need your help because I just moved into this apartment a few months ago and I just flipped a switch and it made that noise and it scared the daylights out of me. Yeah, apparently she is perplexed over what a garbage disposal is, and she says she's been living in this posh apartment for 2 months, and she just now discovered the switch. I mean, really, how big is this apartment? I mean, basically, when you move into some place, you pretty much know what everything does. You know what I'm saying? And really, she was a bartender. Didn't they have a garbage disposal in the bar? I don't know. She was a waitress, I think, at one time. Did none of those places have garbage disposals? She's never lived anywhere with a garbage disposal. Really? Really? Yeah, I'm finding that a little hard to believe. Maybe she thinks that makes her more likable. I think it just makes her look more mentally challenged. Seriously. She's living there for 2 months and she doesn't know that what this switch does. But she switches it and it makes a big noise. And it scares her. It scares her. Garbage disposals. Something new, apparently. Something brand new. Only in the poshest of apartments in DC. Garbage disposals. Yeah. I think most of the places I've lived had a garbage disposal. I'm just saying. No, I don't have one here, but it's Canada. like that's an explanation. All right, now let's look at this by Patriot Pam. I love this meme. It says, "Make free speech great again," and it has a shadow of the Twitter bird, shadow banned. And this person is Conservative Voice. Well, that is a very true meme. And this person says, Twitter suspended Candace Owens yesterday for retweeting the racist tweets of Sarah Jeong, new hire of the New York Times. In their eyes, it's only racist if a Republican says it. They are censoring conservatives leading up to the November elections. They can't censor our vote. Well, if they can figure out a way to censor our vote, they will. All right, now we have some other interesting things here. Now, one of them is a fascinating rabbit trail, but I don't think we have the time for that rabbit trail because that will take a whole video in and of itself. But I do want to get to this because all of this stuff that's in the news about Barr and all this stuff, I think it's to hide and keep this out of the news cycle, personally. And I think that they are having a royal conniption over this. NXIVM graphic details of sex slaves and pedophilia heard as Rainier trial gets underway. And I saw where they were rolling in these great, huge amounts of documents in this case. I mean, huge. They were rolling them in. Yeah, so this is going to get a little dicey. Salacious details of pedophilia and sexual slavery were heard on Tuesday in a Brooklyn courtroom as the trial of NXIVM's former leader, Keith Rainier, got underway. Mr. Rainier, 58, has been indicted on charges of racketeering, conspiracy, identity theft, extortion, forced labor, money laundering, wire fraud, and sex trafficking. Gee, just a few little minor misdemeanors there. In recent weeks, 5 women who were charged as Mr. Rainier's co-defendants have pleaded guilty to various federal charges, leaving Mr. Rainier to stand trial alone. One woman, a 32-year-old identified only as Sylvie, said that she had been involved in the group for about 13 years for their self-help seminars, only to be later invited to join a secretive sorority within the organization known as Dominus Ubiquitous Sororium. DOS, Latin for master over the slave women. Sylvie said that in order to join DOS, she had to provide collateral to her sponsor, Monica Durham, in the form of photographs and a stamped letter to her parents telling them that she was a prostitute, according to the New York Times. Now, I was Monica's slave and she was my master, and the collateral was in place to keep that going, said Sylvie, adding that she was given assignments that she was to fulfill without question. Another recruit turned coach was Indy Oxenberg, daughter of Dynasty actress Catherine Oxenberg, who met with prosecutors in New York in late 2017 to present evidence against Rainier. This was organized crime. Keith Rainier was an organized crime boss. Prosecutor Tanya Hajer told the jury of 8 men and 4 women during Tuesday's opening statements, adding that Rainier, 58, bought a 15-year-old girl from Mexico, Camila, to New York, along with her 2 sisters in 2015. Camila was Rainier's first sex slave, according to Hajar. Rainier wasn't interested in mentoring the girls, said Hajar. Instead, he had sex with all 3 daughters. Most recently, Rainier was accused of having sex with children and producing kiddie porn, to which he has pleaded not guilty. Rainier, 58, is accused of having a child engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of producing 1 or more visual depictions of such conduct, which visual depictions were produced and transmitted. Rainier began sleeping with Camila, the youngest sister, at age 15 and nicknamed her Virgin Camila, Hajar alleged. The charming NXIVM founder soon pitted sister against sister and retaliated against one of them, Daniela, after learning she had feelings for someone else. Rainier, 58, shut her in a room for 2 years. Yes, 2 years before banishing her to Mexico altogether, according to the prosecutor. Jurors also heard how Rainier wanted his DOS slaves to be branded with his monogram and how Camila procured other slaves to sleep with him. One recruit, an actress named Nicole in her 30s, was blindfolded and tied to a table where she was introduced to Rainier, according to Hajar, who added a third person came into the room and started performing oral on her. That third person was Camila. Prosecutors also said that 2 of Rainier's co-defendants, Smallville actress Allison Mack, who allegedly occupied the second most senior position in the group, and Laura Salzman, served as master slaves. Mack and Salzman were among 5 women charged in the case, including Seagrams, Harris, Claire Bronfman. The 5 women have pleaded guilty. However, it is unclear whether they will testify against Rainier. I knowingly and intentionally harbored Jane Doe 4, a woman whose identity is known to me, in a room in the home in the Northern District of New York, and threatened to deport Jane Doe 4 back to Mexico if she did not complete labor requested by myself and others, admitted Salzman, whose mother, Nancy, has also pleaded guilty to racketeering conspiracy. Rainier has remained behind bars since his March 2018 arrest after he fled to Mexico with Bronfman. His trial is expected to last around 6 weeks. NXIVM whistleblower Frank Parletto sat down with big league politics Patrick Howley last Saturday to discuss the trial, where he described Senator Chuck Schumer as a friendly ally as well as copious Clinton connections. Surprised anyone? I didn't think so. Yeah. Unbelievable. And yet, that's what's happening. And I happen to know that those Bronfman connections extend well into Canada. And I'm wondering, during all this trial, when or if any of that will come out. I'm hoping. I'm always hoping. So, there you go. Unbelievable, but I'm thinking that all this drama that's unfolding with Barr and so forth, part of that is to keep this out of the news cycle. You don't want that splashed all over the news, do you? No, well, yes, you do, really, but not if you're them. Yeah. All right, so let's go back. I told you we had some juicy stuff tonight. Okay, and let me see here. Let me see if there is anything else that I need to get to here. Oh yes, here's something. Here's something you might get a kick out of. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how stuff like this happens. I really don't. But it did. It did. Yes, it did. Woman arrested after trespassing at CIA 3 days in a row, asking for Agent PENIS. Huh. Well, Agent PENIS. Wonder who that is. I don't know. Could describe so many of them, couldn't it? Yeah, police have filed a criminal complaint against a woman after she allegedly trespassed on CIA's headquarters 4 times since April 22nd. What is she thinking? She can go, I mean, you know, there's probably better places to pick up a date. I'm just saying. I don't know. Police have filed a criminal complaint against a woman after she allegedly trespassed on CIA's headquarters 4 times since April 22nd. Once asking to speak with Agent PENIS. The woman, 58-year-old Jennifer J. Hernandez, has attempted to enter the agency 3 days in a row on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. On April 22nd, case files allege that Hernandez walked into CIA headquarters through the main vehicle entrance after she was stopped by a CIA police officer. She said that she had applied for employment at the agency and that her recruiter had told her to come to the complex. Yeah, I bet he did. Once the police officer determined that Hernandez had no official business with the CIA, they told her she could be charged with trespassing and told her to leave, which she did. You know, she was just looking for Agent PENIS. I mean, you know. Then on May 1st, oh yes, no, there's more. Don't go yet. Then on May 1st, Hernandez returned via Lyft and again said she was trying to see her recruiter. Yes, you know when a PENIS recruits you, it's probably not something that's, you know, official. I'm just saying. So she returned. She was looking for her recruiter. Officers issued her a written warning and turned her away. On May 2nd, Hernandez came back in an Uber. CIA officials alleged that Hernandez stated she wanted to speak to her recruiter and that she knew to come here because her phone was off. Well, there you go. When your phone's off, you've got to go find Agent PENIS. That's the way it goes, I guess. Officers interviewed her and told her to leave. Finally, on May 3rd, Hernandez showed up asking for her North Carolina ID card, which officers had unintentionally kept in storage. She also asked to speak to Agent PENIS. Yeah. After being provided with her ID card, Hernandez told officers she would leave the agency by bus. When her bus arrived, however, she told officers waiting with her, "Do you really think I'm going to leave?" After declining to board the bus, Hernandez was arrested. Yes. as well she should have been. But I hope that they took her to get some mental health help, really. Hernandez was charged with a Class B misdemeanor offense. She is currently being held in Alexandria City Jail. So there you go. I just wanted to tell you that if you are recruited by someone that calls himself Agent PENIS, be highly suspicious, especially if you're a woman. Yes. Be really suspicious if you're a man. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back now. Anything else that looks good here? We've got James Comey is in trouble and he knows it. That's old news by now. And well, this is interesting. Well, okay, there's two more. Well, there's three things here that are good. So let's look at this first. China's Big Brother social control arrives in Australia. Now, this concerns me. It really does, because on one hand, we see how much good that Trump is doing, but we see that censorship is progressively getting worse and worse and worse. And it concerns me. And I think it should concern anyone that is a conservative voice or that listens to conservative voices. It should concern us all, because but anyway, China's Big Brother social control is really out there. I mean, it's out there, seriously. And the fact that it's arriving in Australia, I know that there are people from Australia that are listeners, and I know because you always say hello from sunny Australia. So could you please weigh in on this and let us know what it's like there, and if this is indeed true? I would rather take it from you because you're living there. And so please put it in the comments below, because I know for a fact that there are Australians that listen, and we want to know from you, people that are actually living there. Australia is preparing to debut its version of the Chinese regime's high-tech system for monitoring and controlling its citizens. The launch, to take place in the northern city of Darwin, will include systems to monitor people's activity via their cell phones. Now, this is interesting, that it's taking place in the northern city of Darwin. It's interesting because of all the cities. The new system is based on monitoring programs in Shenzhen, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, China, where the Chinese Communist Party is testing its social credit systems. Officials on the Darwin Council traveled to Shenzhen, according to NT News, to have a chance to see exactly how their smart technology works prior to it being fully rolled out. In Darwin, they've actually constructed poles fitted with speakers, cameras, and Wi-Fi, according to NT News, to monitor people, their movements around the city, the websites they visit, and what apps they use. The monitoring will be done mainly by artificial intelligence, but will alert authorities based on set triggers. Just as in China, their surveillance system is being branded as a smart city program. And while Australian officials claim its operations are benign, they've announced its functions to monitor cell phone activity and virtual fences that will trigger alerts if people cross them. We'll be getting sent an alarm saying there's a person in this area that you've put a virtual fence around. Boom, an alert goes out on whatever authority, whether it's us or police, to say, look at camera 5, said Josh Sattler, the Darwin Council's general manager for innovation, growth, and development services, according to NT News. The nature of the virtual fence and what type of activity will sound an alarm still isn't being made clear. The system is being promoted as mostly benign. Well, when have they ever promoted a system as not being benign? I mean, that's ridiculous to even say that. Sattler said that it will tell the government where people are using Wi-Fi, what they're using Wi-Fi for, are they watching YouTube, etc. All these bits of information we can share with businesses. We can let businesses know, hey, 80% of people actually use Instagram within this area of the city between these hours. Yeah, I'm sure that's why they're using it. Right. The CCP Smart City Social Credit System is able to monitor each person in the society, tracking every element of their lives, including their friends, online purchases, daily behavior, and other information, and assigns each person a citizen score that determines their level of freedom in society. Now, if you don't find that absolutely terrifying, then I don't know. Then maybe you deserve to be enslaved. Seriously, this determines your social credit, determines your level of freedom. Now, in China, you can't even take a bus or get on, public transit or whatever unless you have a certain social score. You're not allowed to travel, fly on an airplane, if you have, if you're below a certain social score. How long do you think until this infiltrates into North America? Seriously. It is alarming. Do you want the fact that you jaywalked to prevent you from getting on a city bus or taking a taxi or whatever? Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Anyway, the tool is a core piece of the CCP's programs to monitor and persecute dissidents, including religious believers and people who oppose the ruling communist system. Chinese human rights lawyer Tang Bao, a visiting scholar at New York University, described the social credit system as a new form of tyranny meant to reactivate the CCP's totalitarian hold on society. I could not agree more. In the past, there was the Nazi totalitarianism and Mao Zedong totalitarian system, but a totalitarian system powered by the internet and contemporary technology has not existed before, Ten said in a recent interview with the Epoch Times. The CCP is now taking the first step to build such a high-tech totalitarian system by using credit ratings and monitoring and recording every detail in people's daily life, which is very frightening. The regime also isn't interested in keeping the technology within its own borders. It's exporting the system and its China model of totalitarian government as a service of its One Belt, One Road program. When the CCP builds its infrastructure abroad, its surveillance and social control programs are part of the package. In Darwin, there has been a push to jump aboard the CCP's program. The local officials made a friendship deal with the Zhu, not sure how to pronounce that, but it's a district in China. In Guangzhou, China, in 2018, according to John Garrick, a senior lecturer at the Charles Darwin University, the deal was branded by Chinese media as part of President Xi Jinping's signature Belt and Road Initiative. That followed a previous deal between Darwin and the CCP, which the city signed a 99-year lease of the port of Darwin to a Chinese company and the CCP. Okay, well, that is why it's being rolled out in Darwin, because they have a Chinese port there, and they probably want to know who knows what and who's telling what to who and when. Yeah. This deal also should raise concern for U.S. Marines stationed in Darwin under the Obama-era pivot to the Pacific about whether the CCP is able to monitor data collected on cell phones from its systems in the area. Of course it is. Of course it is. Under a 2011 deal between the United States and Australia, the U.S. troops will be there until 2040. Well, if you are a U.S. troop and you are stationed there, prepare to be technologically raped. That's what it amounts to. As the Epoch Times has reported, the CCP views Australia as a testing ground for programs it wants to spread to the West. After Australia comes Canada, then the United States, in an apparent imitation of Mao Zedong's strategy to surround the cities with the countryside. Okay, now if that isn't terrifying, I mean, to tell you the truth, I've never been like, I never watched horror. I don't like blood. I don't like gore. I don't like anything dark. But this to me is scarier than any monster or dark movie or horror movie that could possibly be. To me, it's terrifying for reasons that I'm sure I don't need to get into. All right, now let's go back here. And this is interesting as well because this is huge. Bitcoin dips as world's biggest crypto exchange reveals $41 million, like a $41 million hack. Someone's hacked into the system for $41 million. Crypto prices took a hit overnight after Hong Kong-based Binance, the world's biggest crypto exchange, revealed that hackers had absconded with 7,000 bitcoins worth roughly 41 million at current prices, stolen from the exchange's hot wallet. However, prices swiftly pared some of the losses after the exchange announced that customers wouldn't be responsible for the losses. Instead, depositors would be made whole with assets from Binance's secure asset fund for users. Now, I'm not going to get into all that, but that is a little terrifying as well. Now, I don't have crypto, but many, many, many people do. I mean, a lot of people that are doing what I do have crypto, that are on YouTube or whatever. A lot of them, or they have websites or whatever, they accept crypto as payment. I've never got into that because I never trusted it for that very reason. I thought, it's a little blip on all our money is a little blip on a computer screen, really. I mean, none of it's safe, but anyway. And I don't know enough about the crypto market to, comment on it in an intelligent way. So I need to keep my mouth shut on that because I have not looked at it thoroughly enough. All right, now one more small item here that I'm going to get to before I sign off for the evening, and because it is getting late, it is almost 1 o'clock. Yes, it is. All right, here is one interesting thing that I came across, and it was on Fox News. But this was published a while ago, November 3rd, 2017. Soros fund manager beat Playboy model's $27 million lawsuit alleges. So I'm not going to get into all that. This is, a couple years old, but this is interesting because I never heard about this. Did you? Were you aware of this? And I don't know what the outcome of this is. So I'm going to have to look into this a little bit further. This is the first time I heard about it, and I'm not even sure how I came across it, but I did. So I'm going to need to look into that a little further to see what happened with that, and just find it a little interesting. That's all. So I think I'm probably creeping up to an hour here that I've been talking, and possibly even longer. So I think I'm going to leave it there for tonight. There's another fascinating rabbit trail here that we could get into, but my gosh, it would make this video very, very, very long. So I'm going to hold off on that for another day. And hopefully I will be back tomorrow. I'm planning on being back tomorrow to either report on Q or report on the day's news as it relates to Q. So for now, I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all you do. I appreciate your comments and your encouragement and your prayers. And I likewise, I pray for you all. I know you're not all believers, but I'm sure you don't mind being prayed for nonetheless. So anyway, and if you do, then I apologize. But I've never known anybody to turn down the opportunity for prayer. So anyway. And I like the fact that people will raise concerns on, in the comments, and others will pray for them and encourage them. I really like that. It warms the deep, dark cockles of my heart. It really does, because you guys are just a great group. And it really does feel like a family in many, many ways. So anyway, I will see you tomorrow, I hope. I hope you come back, and have a great night. Sleep well, stay safe, and keep seeking truth. Deception bites. Hard, really hard.